The offseason is just getting underway in St. Louis, and one of the guys who might be a reason why the Cardinals make or don't make certain moves is on the show today. The number 3 ranked prospect in the organization, pitcher Gordon Graceffo, joining us today on Locked On Cardinals.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinal fans. I'm JD Hafford. I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter at JD Sports Radio. Follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. We want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, as well as YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment so you can interact with us. Hit that notification button so you know when new videos are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. So we've talked about getting guests on this show and more specifically bringing in some of the top prospects that the Cardinals have in their system. And we finally landed one, and it's a big one. Joining us today on Locked On Cardinals is pitcher Gordon Graceffo, who I would assume is hanging out at home right now. Gordon, welcome into the show. How are you, brother?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
No, we're happy to finally have you. I just kind of took over things for Locked On Cardinals a couple of months ago, and we've gotten to talk to other hosts of shows. But you, my friend, are now the first actual player to join the show since I've taken over. So we're breaking the mold here.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So let's talk about things. First off, where are you during the off season at the moment? What are you doing with yourself?
I live in Cranford, New Jersey with my family, and just kind of chilling at home, lift around home, throw around home, so kind of just staying in the Jersey area.
Understood. Looking up things, saw that you were born in Wayne, New Jersey, which I know isn't too far from New York. So does that make you a Yankees or a Mets fan or neither?
Growing up, I was a Yankees fan, yeah.
Yankees fan. Did you get to go to a lot of games over at Yankee Stadium?
Yeah, we actually had season tickets like from the 90s until I started college. So I'd go pretty much every weekend that they had a home game with one of my parents.
That's pretty awesome. I bet the friends were pretty jealous over that. Were they always trying to hit you up for tickets?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was a great time.
Did you have any particular player that you were, was your favorite growing up on the Yankees?
Mariano Rivera was definitely one guy that I loved watching, and just him and Derek Jeter, obviously.
Yeah, those are big ones. Have you seen any of the Derek Jeter stuff that they've done on ESPN? Any of his special moments?
Definitely, yeah. That documentary was unbelievable.
Yeah,
it was crazy to watch.
Absolute stud. Let's talk about you growing up, high school and stuff. Did you have any other interest in any other sports other than baseball, or was it always baseball like at the top there?
Baseball was definitely kind of the pinnacle of everything. Like I focused all my time around that. I pretty much was doing some kind of baseball activity throughout the whole year, even though it wasn't really a full year sport until now. But yeah, baseball is my life's been pretty much baseball centric forever.
Yeah, growing up in the Northeast, in the Midwest, we have some weather, but things can get pretty wild up in the Northeast. What makes it tough to do outdoor baseball activities. Did you guys have to do a lot of like going to like gross gyms and stuff like that to get the baseball work in?
Oh yeah, we had a lot of times in like facilities with like the gross turf and the like cold indoor like warehouses, but I mean it was all worth it.
Yeah. We had a joint in St. Louis called the Armory, and there was no heat, and we all had to play winter ball inside there, and it was just this cavernous place downtown, and it was awful because there's no way to warm up at all. But you did what you had to do so you could play ball in the off season. So that was, I imagine it was something similar like that. After high school, you move on and go to Villanova to play ball. Any particular reasons why you wanted to go to Villanova over any other places?
They were one of the first schools on me, kind of, but like once I visited there, I kind of fell in love with the campus, loved the coaching staff the minute I met them, and just kind of loved the culture and like the vibe around campus once I stepped foot there. And I mean, I'm glad I made that decision. It worked out really well.
Yeah, sure did. Any other schools that came after you at all? Put in an effort to pull you away?
Lehigh was one big one. Fairfield, Dartmouth, Georgetown. A lot of the other schools in the Big East, Rutgers. But Villanova was the only scholarship I ended up getting at a high school, so that was another big reason why I ended up choosing them. But I mean, I'm glad they put their faith in me.
You got there like right after they won like the national championship in basketball.
Mhm.
What's that like going to a Wildcats game there?
I mean, it was hectic, especially after that year when the expectations are so high. But
Sure.
it was a lot of fun.
The Cardinals end up taking you in the fifth round. Where and what were you doing on draft day? Because baseball draft day, a lot of people will watch the NFL draft or maybe the NBA draft, and they're starting to get into the TV thing with the MLB draft. But
Mhm.
MLB draft a little bit different than what they do for the other sports. You go in the fifth round. What were you doing on draft day, and who'd you end up talking to? What was the phone call like?
So I was at home with my family on I think it was like a Saturday maybe, but yeah, just home with my immediate family. Didn't really want to like you kind of see everything happen during the first round, and the guys are at home with like a big draft party and like all their family and friends, and like it's tough to really do that when you're like a later round pick, just because you don't really know when you're gonna go, and there's kind of more stuff up in the air. But yeah, I mean, it was. I ended up talking to the scout that recruited me from that area, Jim Negrich, and just kind of on the phone with him throughout the day, and ended up coming up with something in the fifth round, and grateful for that.
That was the fifth round, a decent projection for what you were told you may get taken at, or was it higher?
Mhm.
Was it lower than what you expected?
It was I throughout the whole process. I was kind of hearing from third round to sixth round, so fifth round was kind of in the ballpark that I was expecting. But I mean, once you get to that day, you never really know. Like it's so hectic and it goes so quick, and your phone's buzzing all day long, and you kind of don't really know how you're going to handle it or how the organization's going to handle it. But I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, Cardinals end up taking you. Were you familiar with much about the Cardinals organization when they drafted you, being a Yankees guy?
hmm I mean, the one thing you hear about them is that they're kind of like the Yankees of the Midwest, like that traditional
Yeah.
organization with a long history and just a lot of success. But the last time I had actually watched them play, I think, like intently, was when they won the World Series in 2011. But like after that, it was kind of all I was totally focused on the Yankees.
Yeah, yeah. Did you know the Cardinals were interested in you? Was that a name that people were saying, hey, they might be coming after you in this draft?
Yeah, they were one of the teams that was probably the biggest on me throughout the whole process. So I talked to that scout a lot, and I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah, we are too. The career with the organization ends up beginning in Palm Beach, which I'm sure was nice considering you being from
Mhm,
the Northeast. You get to go to Palm Beach, which is always pleasant, and then
mhm.
you end up going to Peoria, Illinois, to start. And I used to work there, so I'm kind of familiar with the territory there. And you are lights out while you're at Peoria. You get an ERA of 0.99. Was there anything in particular that you might have learned at Peoria that helped you have that early success in your pro career?
It's kind of just pro ball is very different from like high school and college because it's kind of you're just kind of thrown into the fire. Like nobody's really walking you through anything, so you kind of have to figure out almost like how good you are, and you can only really do that by attacking the strike zone, attacking the hitters, and the hitters kind of tell you what you need to fix and anything you need to work on and stuff like that. And I was really grateful to have a lot of success there, and I think that just helped my confidence a lot, just in pro ball in general. And I mean, just a lot of the guys there that were on that team, they helped me a lot. Just talking to different players and hearing different experiences and stuff like that, that helped me.
I believe you wear is it the number 32? Is that what you're
Mhm.
sporting now with Memphis?
Yep.
Or I should say Springfield. Any significance to the number 32 on your uniform?
Not really. I mean, I was always I was actually 42 growing up forever, and then obviously,
Mariano.
yeah, you can't really wear that number anymore. Like he was kind of last one to wear it, and then
Yeah,
in college I was always 24, so I just decided to switch it around. And then when I got to Peoria, they you kind of like line up to choose your number, and they let the older guys go first, guys that have been there
sure.
longer. So I'm one of the last ones to kind of pick, and 32s happened to be there, and it fit. So it worked.
Yeah, they don't have it kinda like in the pros where they're like, "Yeah, we have every size of every number. You
Mhm.
can have whatever you want." You're kinda like it's back in, little league where you're like, "Okay, this one just kinda that one fits. I guess I'll take
Yeah,
that number."
definitely.
We're going to have more with Gordon Graceffo here in just a moment. But speaking of numbers, betonline.net, your number one source for sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer and esports. They've got it all at betonline.net. And if you love sports podcasts, I'm guessing you do, since you are listening to this right now. You probably do listen to a plenty other podcasts as well. You can find those at BetOnline as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix. College basketball is back. Obviously, college and NFL football. You've got the NHL in full swing. Plenty of great sports to go around for everyone. And if you feel like adding some spice to your game, watching, then throwing down a little bit of moolah, that might make things a little more fun for you. See if you're as smart as you think you are when it comes to your favorite teams. Head to the website today, or you can use your mobile device to learn more. Bet online, where the game starts. We want to thank you guys for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen today. For your second listen, check out Locked On Sports today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. We're here with the Cardinals' number 3 overall prospect, Gordon Graceffo. What's that like, man, hearing that you're all the way up to the number 3 ranked prospect in an organization like the Cardinals, and that, like, scouts and evaluators, they think this highly of you, that's how far you've reached in a pretty short time?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an honor, and it's something to definitely be proud of. But in my head, I feel like I haven't done anything yet. I
Mhm.
mean, you kind of treat like your ultimate goal is to get to the big leagues and stay in the big leagues, and until I'm there, everything's a stepping stone. So I
Yeah.
mean, you're obviously grateful to be talked about like that, but I'm still here to get there and stay there.
Well, you got promoted right away. You end up at Double A Springfield this year. What's that like as a player to get the call up to the next level? Was it because you will see these videos online of guys who are getting called up to the show, and it's this whole they might play tricks on the guy or
Mhm.
whatever. Did you have something like that happen, or was it just your normal manager player meeting and they were like, "Hey, this is what's happening"?
Around that time in high A, we were coming home from a series in Wisconsin, I'm pretty sure. And when you're leaving, like we had heard rumors of guys moving up from low A to high A, so we knew there was going to have to be some moves from high A to double A just to make room on the roster. And when you're on an away trip, they kind of usually wait for the bus to get back home before they tell any player where they're going or anything. So we had that whole bus ride to kind of think about what's going to happen, who's going to move, all this kind of stuff. So me and all the other guys on the team were in the back of the bus, just kind of brainstorming and playing GM and seeing what's going to happen. But once we got back to the stadium in Peoria, I just got called into the office. They said, "You're going to Double A. Good luck. Like, this is what you're going to need to know when you get up there." All this stuff like that. It was pretty straightforward, and I'm grateful they chose me to move up.
How much time did you get to pack up before you had to head out?
Uh, we probably got back in the evening on, like, Sunday yeah, Sunday evening probably, and I left Monday morning, so, it's a pretty quick
Wow.
turnaround. Yeah.
Yeah. Hardly a chance to say goodbye to any of the guys. So,
Mhm.
but still, that's awesome. So you get up to Double A, and what's the first thing you notice? Like, what's the biggest difference between the hitters in A ball, high A, where you were at, and then what they're like when you got up to Double A?
Just their approach. The approach in Double A is so, I mean, they know exactly what they're good at, they know exactly what they're looking for, and there's no holes in the lineup really. Like, you can kinda navigate a high lineup like you can navigate a college lineup, but once you get to Double A, like, everybody is a guy. Like, everybody is elite, and you kinda have to just focus in that much more and just kinda lock in and have to th your every pitch has gotta be your best stuff, and you can't
Mhm.
work around the zone. You just have to go in and attack.
Baseball players sometimes infamous for their almost ritualistic approach to a game, whether it's they're eating certain foods or they listen to certain music, maybe wear a particular pair of socks, something like that. You have any kind of good luck charms or anything that you have to do before you make a start?
When I started in AA, that's when I kind of got in tune with a lot of that stuff. I would eat breakfast. I would eat the same breakfast every day before I would go pitch, and then I would eat the same lunch. And I have one playlist that I listen to that I made before I go pitch.
Is there any food item you want to share with us, or is it all secretive for you and you only?
No, I could definitely share. There was a acai bowl place in Springfield, Missouri that was really, really good, and I like that kinda as a breakfast because it's not too filling, but it
Right.
seems pretty healthy and it tastes good, so why not? And then, I'd get Jersey Mike's, the Italian sub from Jersey Mike's before I'd pitch.
There you go.
Mhm,
Yeah, Italian dressing is a bomb from Jersey
mhm.
Mike's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Um, so your team in Springfield, you guys had a lot of talent. We talked a lot
Mhm,
about you guys this year. Not only you, but you had some names that guys that are listening to the podcast are probably familiar with. Jordan Walker, Masyn Winn, Moises Gomez. What are some of your assessments? What can you tell us about Jordan Walker when you first met him and how he does what he does on the field and
mhm.
just how amazing his career has taken off too.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan was probably the best pure hitter I've ever seen on a baseball field. Like, he just the approach and the maturity from a guy who's 20 years old literally just out of high school is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And his adjustment from third to the outfield and how quick he made it and how kind of routine he made it look out there is unbelievable. And Mason is probably the best shortstop I've ever been on the same field with. Like he's a freak out there. He does some things that you're like, how is that even possible?
Who's got a better arm, you or Mason?
It depends where we're throwing it from. From short, definitely Mason. On the mound, even though he did a little pitching, back in the day in high school, he likes to, trash talk the rest of the pitchers, but, I would have to say me on the mound.
Okay, good to know. And Moises Gomez, a guy that
Mhm,
came out of nowhere, the power just unbelievable.
mhm.
What was that like watching that guy set a record this year?
Yeah, me and him were actually locker mates locker neighbors in spring training, and obviously he's a new guy. It was my first spring training, so we kinda got to talking a little bit, and his English is pretty good. So, we could actually have a conversation, but he had some of the craziest pop I've ever seen. Like seeing all this stuff on Twitter about him when I was in high A and he was in Springfield, and then getting there and actually seeing it and seeing these balls fly off his bat is incredible.
Who's more impressive in batting practice, Jordan or Moises?
That's tough.
just
Uh,
just tank shots left and
j-
right, probably.
I mean, they would go back and forth in BP every day, but I would have to say Jordan. Jordan's swing and Jordan's like just the way he makes it look so easy.
Yeah.
It's got to be Jordan.
Yeah, he's got the size too, where
Oh
Moises is a
yeah.
little smaller and
Hmm.
stocky, but
Hmm.
Jordan's a monster out there.
Yeah.
You brought up going on bus rides when you were talking about your time in Peoria. When you're on the bus rides, any favorite movies that you guys like to watch or books you like to read? What do you like to do when you're spending time on the bus?
It depends if we're a lot of the time on the way to games. It was guys just kind of keeping themselves, listening to music, just relaxing, sleeping. On the way home, it's usually a lot of yelling, playing cards, like a lot of conversations. So it also depends how the series went. But I mean,
Sure.
on the way home, it was definitely more loose than on the way there.
Now, your next step in your career progression, what you mentioned was to make it up to Memphis and then get to St. Louis. Have you actually been to St. Louis at any point in your career?
I went to St. Louis for their pre-draft workout
Okay.
a couple weeks before the draft actually happened, and that was the only time, and it was really nice. The stadium is beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, it's amazing when you go from the stadiums of the minor leagues and you go to the pro stadiums.
Mhm.
You've been obviously to Yankee Stadium multiple times, but just how the levels are just
Yeah.
it's a ginormous cathedrals that these guys are playing in.
Mhm.
One of those guys that played a long time in St. Louis and had quite a season this year, made his return to the Cardinals is Albert Pujols. I'm sure you've seen a number of Albert Pujols at bats at some point or
Mhm.
another. How would you have attacked Albert if you had to face him on the mound?
So, I actually faced him on the last day of spring training, before everybody got assigned to their teams and, flew out.
Nice.
So, his first at bat, I'm pretty sure he jumped on a first pitch fastball, hit it deep to left, ended up flying out. Second at bat, he worked it to 3-2, fouled a couple pitches off, and then I was kinda like, "I'll just throw a fastball as hard as I can, see what happens." Uh, Threw it, and he hit it right back up the middle, like, through my legs, like, right under my legs, and it was crazy that he still has that bat to ball skills at his age, and then, the last at bat, he grounded into a double play on a fastball away, and it's kinda funny because walking off the mound back to the dugout, he walked by me and he said, "Good pitch, Poppy," and, like, just hearing that from a guy who's this, like, a legend in the game and first ballot
Yeah.
Hall of Famer, all that kinda stuff, is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, arguably the greatest right-handed hitter in the history of baseball. So
Yeah.
that's pretty nice. The legend never took you deep. You can always say that. In
Mhm.
three at bats, you got the guy to get out twice. So
Mhm.
that's winning. That's winning,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah.
Now, as far as players who are currently in the league, do you have a particular pitcher or hitter that you enjoy watching nowadays? You mentioned Mariano before. Is there anybody that you kind of look up to now that's throwing still?
Definitely Garrett Cole. Garrett Cole's a guy that I watched a lot when he was on the Astros, and now that he's on the Yankees, it's even easier to watch him. And he's his stuff and his just how he attacks his own attacks hitters and just his elite stuff and command is just something to watch.
Yeah, he's filthy. You mentioned the Astros who just won the World Series this
Mhm.
year. They had that combined no hitter. Have you ever been a part of a no hitter, combined or by yourself?
I haven't. I haven't. That's one thing that I gonna have to. I gotta do. It's on definitely on the bucket list, but I haven't pitched well enough yet.
All right, so we'll save that one for when you get to the show, hopefully, and you'll
Mhm.
you can do that when you got a Cardinal jersey on.
Definitely.
If you could steal a particular pitch from another player, like Mariano's cutter, is that the pitch that you would take into your repertoire, or is there something else you would like to take from somebody else?
Definitely the Mariano Rivera cutter. I mean, making a career and becoming the best closer of all time with virtually one pitch is just that's unheard of, and I'd love to be able to throw that.
The Cardinals just the other day promoted Dusty Blake to pitching coach. Have you had any interaction with Dusty at all? Do you know who him at all?
I haven't, but I heard about him from his time at Duke, and I know a couple guys that played at Duke during his time there. So definitely gonna have to ask them about him, see what they have to say about him. But I'm looking forward to working with them. Definitely.
Yeah, he's certainly a guy that but not a lot of us know about him yet. So we're all
Mhm.
kind of intrigued on what he's going to bring to the table. But great reputation so far. A couple of final questions here. Thanksgiving is this month. Who does the cooking in the family, and do you do any of it yourself, or do you just eat it all?
No, I definitely just eat it all. I'm not cooking's not my strong suit. But it'll be, my mom and my grandma usually. It's fantastic over Thanksgiving.
We always have arguments in my household about what are the actual good food items when it comes to Thanksgiving. What's your opinion on pumpkin pie? Is it good or is it gross?
I'm not a pumpkin pie guy. I'm more of a
Yeah.
pumpkin I like pumpkin bread. I'm not a pumpkin pie guy.
Is it the mushiness that drives you nuts? Because that's my problem with it. I'm like, it just
Yeah.
tastes like mush, and I'm not
Yeah.
down with that.
Yeah, no, I don't really like the texture.
Yeah, same way with, like, green bean casserole. I just can't get over how it feels and, like, it's gross. I
Yeah.
can't stand it. I just can't get on board. What about white or dark meat? Do you have a preference, or you just like, "Give me all the meats?"
I'm a dark meat guy. I'll eat
There you
anything,
go.
but I'm a dark meat guy.
All right, all right. Well, Gordon, I really do appreciate you taking time out to hang with us today. We wish you nothing but success in the future, and of course, happy holidays to you and yours. And if you ever want to come back, hopefully, when you get that call coming up to Memphis or even to St. Louis, you come back on and we'll chat and celebrate. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me. I appreciate
All
it.
right. Gordon Graceffo, everybody. Appreciate him stopping by here today. Once again, we want to thank you guys for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Day podcast, the biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and the take of the day. Available on the Odyssey app, YouTube, and wherever you get podcasts. As always, be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Twitter at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. You're the best fans of baseball for a reason, and I'll see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.